from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Report.
Good Wednesday evening, Southern Maryland, and I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you in the JB Weather Storm Center this evening, tracking what could be an active week, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks here as we move through the month of December. As we forecasted in that winter outlook a couple weeks ago, winter could get off to a fast start, and that's exactly what we could be seeing unfold. Just yesterday, we had our first wintry event bring a wintry mess for areas northwest of D.C. with up to an inch of rain for our southern zones. And as we take a look here at the 7-day forecast, the cold air is here, and the cold air is here to stay. I don't have one day on this 7-day forecast that has temperatures that even approach our average high there in the low 50s. And that cold air may stick around right through Christmas into the new year. We're also looking at an active storm pattern where we're seeing these weak systems move by every few days. And with these systems and with some cold air in place, we at least have to look at the potential that they could be bringing wintry weather here into our region. I want to focus first, though, on this Friday system. This is one that has garnered some attention with the potential of snow for southern zones. And we're not looking at a big system. And there's a high degree of uncertainty with this storm. So let's go ahead and talk about what we could be looking at here on Friday. We're going to have an area of low pressure that is going to develop as energy consolidates down there along the Gulf Coast into the south. As we look at this system develop and push eastward, an area of high pressure will be developing and settling in for northern areas of the country. This high pressure is going to deliver a fresh injection of cold air where we may see temperatures Friday morning be in the teens and 20s across the mid-Atlantic. This would be a setup that Southern Maryland snow lovers would look to bring impactful snow to our region, as these southern systems really do tend to perform the best for the mid-Atlantic. However, this area of high pressure may actually be too strong and deliver so much cold air that it actually suppresses the storm well to the south. And even if we look into the real meteorology behind this, we're lacking a high area of high pressure, a ridge out towards the west coast. And what that means is that it's not going to allow the jet stream then to kind of rebuckle along the east coast, bringing the system to the north. However, the system may be allowed to come just far enough to the north where it could skirt by the mid-Atlantic and develop and bring a light area of precipitation, likely snow, to southern zones. This does not look to be a big system. This is a rather weak system with limited precipitation, and this forecast really will hinge on how far north this system is allowed to come, and it's going to really then boil down to that high pressure. Where is it setting up, and how does it interact with our area of low pressure? Our models are very, very split on this. We have our European model there on the left that shows a storm track that's a little bit further to the north, which allows for a pretty decent stripe of snow to potentially move through the lower mid-Atlantic as we look at the day on Friday, with some measurable snow getting as far north as the state line. However, our North American model there on the right, the NAM, has a storm track that is further to the south. That high is much stronger, the storm is much weaker with lighter precipitation, and it struggles to get much of anything further north in Richmond, Virginia. Very different potential outcomes here, and I will say that the European model is kind of in a camp on its own where many of our other modeling is more towards the North American model. The Euro historically has a great track record of accuracy, but in this last storm we just saw yesterday, it actually performed subpar compared to these other models like the North American model and the American model. And typically that is switched. So we got to keep this in mind. While the European historically does pretty well, and it definitely piques my interest that it shows this outcome, it is one of the only models doing this, and it's up against models that performed very well already this season. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the JB Weather in-house future view model does have as we look at the forecast going into Friday morning. The future view has precipitation working into southwestern Virginia as we cross midnight Friday into early Friday morning. It shows rain for those locations, but do note that this would actually be snow. Our model is just having a hard time gathering those precipitation types. Our future view model here starts to get that precipitation going into central Virginia as we approach the early morning hours here on Friday. But you're going to notice as I play this through, the precip has a hard time getting much further north than that. I mean, as we get towards about 8 o'clock, it is struggling Friday morning to get snow further north than like Tappahannock into our region. It does give some snow showers to our southern zones. However, it very quickly would wind up and move out as we head into Friday morning. Again, doesn't look like a big system, but we have to keep in mind what these potential outcomes could be. So here's what my opening bid forecast is, my first call on this system. I think areas across central Virginia, those areas that are going to be closer to that area of low pressure, are going to do much better with this system and have a greater likelihood to see maybe an inch or two of light snow, fluffy snow, fall Friday morning. I could see up to an inch falling as far north as Route 50, think Annapolis, on over towards Washington and Warrenton, Virginia, potentially also then snaking up through much of the Delmarva into southern New Jersey. This is up to 1 inch of light fluffy snow, not necessarily a lot. However, it could start to move in as early as about 6 or 7 in the morning on Friday, which could allow for some slick spots. It's going to be plenty cold Friday morning. And with that, anything that falls is likely going to accumulate. Flurries are going to be possible further to the north, but I'm not looking at measurable accumulation in that region, at least given the information that we have right now. The window I would be watching is about 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. And generally, the further south you are, the higher the impacts are going to be. But we're not looking at widespread high impacts here. We're looking at maybe elevated impacts for portions of southern Maryland, central Virginia, the lower Delmarva, where you could see those snow totals, albeit low, but we could look at slick spots on roads thanks to the cold air. And of course, this means that schools could be impacted, businesses could be impacted Friday morning. It is way too early to detail specific school odds or school impacts. Stay tuned for tomorrow's forecast update for that kind of information. But do note that, of course, would be in the cards here with this kind of a forecast. More medium impacts down to the south where you can get that fluffy 1 to 2 inches of snow Friday morning. So we have a lot to look at. There's still a lot of uncertainty with this forecast. This forecast is highly changeable and very fickle. As we learn more, this is likely to change. So you're going to want to stay tuned to JB Weather for the latest. In the very least, we can see that it is going to be a very cold stretch here over the next week and extending deeper into December with an active storm track. Storm yesterday, we're looking at a potential storm Friday, maybe even an early storm potential as we head into early next week, maybe another one by the middle of next week. Again, every couple of days, we're going to have to start watching this, and this very much kind of aligns with that winter forecast we put out, where we highlighted that winter of 2013, 2014 as a great analog or a similarity to what we could see this year, and that was a winter that was very active. And as you know, that was my senior year of high school. that winter, we had 10 snow days. So we're going to be watching this as we move through the next few days. Stay tuned to JB Weather. I'll continue to keep you updated. I will have updates here tonight going into tomorrow. I will have my final call forecast with many more details published tomorrow evening when I get home from school. But you can access this forecast anywhere. Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, jbweather.net, kind of that central place where you can access all the information that I'm putting out. But in the meantime, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. Have a nice and safe one, and please keep tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.